Hi, also welcome to this second part on this short series on AI tools and usability. Now, the first part we talked about onboarding. We looked at a couple of onboarding journeys of the common AI tools out there. We talked about how potentially they could be improved, particularly for those people who are wary and not so confident on clicking around to understand the user interface. This second part, we're going to talk about prompting. So prompting is basically the information you put in to get information out of an AI tool. And it's an area where I feel it's ripe for, improvements. We're right at the early stages of AI tools. So these will iterate and get better as time goes on. So we'll go through a couple of examples and then we'll talk about how potentially we can improve them. So with that, we'll crack on. Okay, to help us understand prompts, we're back in Google Bard. So first things first, what's a prompt? A prompt is what you put in to an AI tool to get information back out again. So you will come with an intent, and using these examples up here, you could, use it to draft an email or understand the rules of a particular sport or find a recipe based on what you've got in the fridge. Any number of use cases. Now, the creation of prompts has become an art form in itself. Now, I recently saw an article that claimed that people are only using 3% of an AI tool's capability. Now, I don't know whether that figure is based on fact, but based on personal experience, when I first started using an AI tool, I was definitely using it in a very limited way. And the only way that I could tease out more of the capability was by writing better prompts. So I'm going to use one of Google Bard's examples to get this point across. So I'm going to click on a draft email. And what you'll see is that populates a prompt asking the AI to do something into the input. Now, the likelihood that this is the draft email you want to write is very slim. So at least it gives you the ability to edit it before you actually send it off to the AI tool. But one of the things you'll see is that this prompt is actually really complex. So it's telling the AI who it is, what it wants, and it's breaking this down into steps as well, and asking even how it wants to be, how it wants the AI tool to respond. And this is all quite complex. Now, Google have offered these examples as a way to help people learn how to structure prompts. But as you can see, there's a lot of effort that needs to go into a prompt in order to make the most out of the AI capability. Indeed, recently, there's even been the advent of prompt Bibles or libraries or repositories, which contain hundreds and hundreds of examples of prompts based on different intents and scenarios. Now, these are great in themselves, but the fact that people need to rely on that external resource for these complex prompts suggests to me that there's an opportunity within these tools to make those prompts easier. So before we move on, let's have a look at a couple of emerging patterns. So I'm back in Google Bard. And if I click on this icon up here, extensions, you will be able to see a number of integrations that Google have introduced recently. So to use these integrations, you simply have to use the @ sign and the appropriate text. So if I wanted to find a hotel, I'd use the @hotels shortcut. Now to see this in action, I would go find me and then use the @ sign, which brings up those integrations. Click on Google Hotels in London on 31st October. And then Google goes away and does its magic. Now, if you're used to that @ sign within applications like Slack to denote people, then you might find that pattern really easy to understand. So something else I'm seeing is AI making more complex prompts on your behalf. So I'm in GPT-4, the paid version, and I'm going to go to DALL-E 3, which is their image creator. Okay, so I'm going to paste the prompt in. Now, normally you would just need this first bit. So make me an image of somebody picking fruit in an orchard. The second part is just an instruction to the AI for the benefit of this example to print out the full text prompts and descriptions it uses to make these images. So I will press the button and let the AI go and do its magic. So as you can see here, the AI tools come back with 4 very distinct images. And underneath, because we asked it to, it's come back with the descriptions that it used to create these images. Now, the AI has tried to help you here by creating these descriptions in the background. But unless you specifically ask the tool, you're not actually going to be aware of what those descriptions are. And the likelihood that these images are exactly what you want first time round are limited. And you're likely to have to go through iterations and manipulation to get the image that you want. Okay, we're going to stick in ChatGPT and look at something called custom instructions. So these can be found by your username, and you click on custom instructions down here. And I've got them switched off at the moment because I want to show you a before and after. So within this modal, you have two questions. It asks, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? And the second one is, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So I'm going to show you what it's like before. So I'm going to start a new chat. And I'm simply going to ask ChatGPT, please explain what AI is. And that will go away and give me a quite substantial answer, I suspect. And there we have it. We have a really verbose explanation of what AI is. Now, if I go back to my custom instructions, I'll switch it on now for new chats. So what you can do, you can basically tell it a bit about yourself. So if I click on the text box, it actually gives you some ideas here. And I've basically said, I'm trying to gain a better understanding of how to use AI as a user experience professional so that I can use AI to be as efficient as possible in my work. So that's a bit of explanation. And then I've put some instructions on how I want ChatGPT to respond. So explain complexity in a way that a 16-year-old would understand. If creating instructions, break down into steps and label them. Take a moment to think about it and ensure that you keep answers brief and keep paragraphs short with a maximum of 3 sentences. So I'm going to save that and I'm going to create a new chat. I'm going to ask it the same question. And then we can see the difference in what comes back as an answer. And there you go. So if you compare this answer, the complex answer, to the one where we had the custom instruction, you can see the difference in the responses it'll give. Now that's great, but one of the things you might find is that you might not want your AI tool to respond exactly the same way each time. So I still believe there's a lot more that we can do around this prompt input to help people get the responses they want faster for each specific request. So in terms of solutions, I'm really interested in what you all think. But as a really noddy example, in ChatGPT, to create an image, you've got to go up here, then you've got to click DALL-E 3, and then you've got to go create an image, and then you've got to specify what it is you want, which is fine. But then if you want it in a particular format, you've got to specify the format, or if you want a particular style, whether it be cinematic or pop art or something like that, you've got to add that in here. So there's a lot of the user has to go through a lot to get the image they want. So is there a possibility that you could add something here from a UI perspective to say, actually, one click, I want to create an image. And then it comes up with options around what format you want, what style you want, and other options around images that, again, are just one click. So this prompt becomes a little bit easier for the user. That's just an example where I feel that a little bit more help at this prompt stage will allow people to get to the outputs they want a lot faster. So I hope you enjoyed that second part of this short series on AI tools and usability. First part, we talked about onboarding. Second part, we've talked about prompting. Third part, we're going to focus on the responses and how people manipulate those outputs to finally get the result that they want. So hope to see you soon.